Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We've got some really fascinating stuff to dig into today. We're talking AI, and specifically three areas where it's really pushing boundaries.
Yeah, definitely. It's incredible to see how AI is kind of going from just being a tool that we use
Right.
to like almost a partner, you know? Like we're collaborating with it to push the limits of what's possible.
Yeah, it's like it's becoming this force in its own right, almost. So let's kick things off with AI in cognitive neuroscience,
Okay.
specifically brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. This is where it gets really wild because we're talking about connecting our thoughts to digital systems.
I know, right? It's kind of mind-blowing to think that we can now control devices with our minds,
It
essentially.
is. It's straight out of science fiction, but it's actually happening.
It is. And what's really inspiring is how it's already being used to help people. You
Hmm.
know, people with mobility issues are using this tech to communicate more effectively. They're controlling prosthetic limbs with like amazing precision.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what's next, right? Like, could we be composing emails just by thinking? Or even writing whole novels?
Haha. Yeah, the potential is just massive. But that's where the conversation gets tricky because the more advanced this technology becomes, the more we have to think about the ethical side of things too.
Absolutely. Can't just get carried away with the possibilities without thinking about the consequences.
Exactly. Privacy is a huge concern. Like, what happens when our thoughts aren't completely our own anymore? And consent, making sure people are fully informed before they use this technology.
Yeah, and even the possibility of becoming too reliant on these interfaces. I mean, what happens if they fail?
Yeah, all big questions. It's this constant balancing act between unlocking these incredible capabilities and making sure they're used responsibly.
It's a good point. It's almost like a mirror to us, right? Like AI is becoming so powerful that it's forcing us to really confront our own values and ethics.
Yeah, I think that's a really insightful way to look at it.
Okay, well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about uh, something with even bigger global implications, climate change,
Okay.
and AI's role in tackling it through these AI-driven climate models. Have you heard about this new model they've developed?
Yeah, I have. It's supposed to revolutionize weather forecasting.
That's what they're saying. And what I find so fascinating is the sheer amount of data it can analyze. We're talking historical weather patterns, real-time conditions,
Yeah.
ocean temperatures, you name it. It even factors in human activity.
And all that feeds into its ability to make these long-term forecasts, which is pretty groundbreaking.
Totally. But how does it actually work? Like, how does AI make these long-term
Well,
predictions?
it's all about machine learning. The model is constantly learning and refining its predictions based on the data it's receiving. That's how it gets to be so much more accurate and reliable than anything we've had before.
So we're talking about AI that's not just predicting the weather for tomorrow, but for like months or even years in advance.
Exactly. And that has huge implications for, well, pretty much everything.
I can only imagine. So how could this kind of predictive power actually impact our lives?
Well, think about agriculture. Imagine farmers knowing exactly when to plant and harvest based on highly accurate rainfall predictions. Or city planners designing infrastructure that can withstand future climate conditions.
Oh, that's incredible.
It is. And what about disaster preparedness? Imagine being able to anticipate and prepare for extreme weather events more effectively.
It's like we're finally getting a glimpse into the future and can actually plan for it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. But, you know, we got to be realistic too. No model is perfect.
Of course.
So there are still challenges like ensuring its accuracy over the long term is going to be crucial. And then there's the issue of access.
Right, making sure everyone can benefit.
Yeah. Especially the countries that are most vulnerable to climate change, we have to make sure they're not left behind.
It's an important point. This tech has the potential to be a real game changer, but only if it's used ethically and equitably. Okay, well, this has been pretty mind-blowing already, but we've got one more area to dive into, and it's probably the most ethically charged.
Yeah, this one is definitely a tough one. Autonomous AI in warfare.
That's right. We're talking AI that can make independent decisions in combat.
Right. Think assessing threats, making tactical judgments, even engaging targets, all without direct human intervention.
It sounds like something straight out of a Terminator movie, right?
Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it? But this technology is being tested right now, and it's sparking a lot of debate.
Understandably so. I mean, the goal is to reduce casualties, both for civilians and our own soldiers, and to make military operations more efficient. But handing over that kind of power to a machine is just,
Yeah, it's a heavy concept. It raises so many questions about control, accountability, even the very nature of warfare itself.
Exactly. So where do you stand on this? I mean, is this something we should be pursuing?
Honestly, it's a tough one. There are strong arguments on both sides.
I can imagine. What are some of the key points people are making?
Well, those in favor argue that it could actually make warfare less destructive, more precise targeting, fewer civilian casualties.
Okay, I see.
They also say that AI could react faster and more efficiently than humans in some situations, which could potentially prevent things from
I
escalating.
guess that makes sense.
But then there's the other side, the people who say this is just a line we shouldn't cross.
Right, like we're playing God almost.
Yeah, exactly. The concern is that we're losing control, that these systems could malfunction or be hacked. And then there's the whole philosophical question of whether it's even morally right to delegate the decision to kill to a machine.
That's the big one, isn't it?
It is, and there are no easy answers.
Okay, well, this has definitely given me a lot to think about. What about you, listener? Where do you stand on all of this? It's a conversation that deserves our attention because the future of warfare, and maybe even humanity itself, could be shaped by these choices we're making right now.
Couldn't agree more. It's a responsibility we all share. It's interesting, isn't it, how these advancements in warfare kind of tie back to what we were discussing earlier about brain-computer interfacing.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, both are really about humans and machines becoming more and more integrated,
Right.
but the stakes are obviously much higher when we're talking about war.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy stuff, you know. Makes you think about where we're headed as a society. If AI can be used to enhance our minds and, even make life or death decisions in combat, then what else? What other parts of our lives could be completely transformed by this technology?
It's a huge question. We're on the verge of this era where AI could be everywhere, right? From healthcare and education to transportation, even entertainment. It's going to touch everything.
Yeah, no doubt. It's exciting, but kind of scary too, right?
Definitely. The challenge is going to be making sure we use it for good, using AI to solve problems to make the world a better place.
So how could we do that? What are some concrete examples of AI being used to tackle some of the biggest challenges we're facing?
Well, take climate change, for instance. AI is already helping us develop renewable energy solutions, making our energy grids more efficient.
Okay.
It's even being used to monitor deforestation,
Mm.
and it's playing a big role in developing early warning systems for natural disasters and designing more sustainable cities.
That's incredible. So AI could actually help us adapt to and even mitigate the effects of climate change.
Exactly. And in healthcare, it's being used to diagnose diseases earlier and more accurately. We're talking personalized treatments and even accelerating drug discovery.
Wow. It really seems like AI has the potential to revolutionize how we approach these huge global issues.
It does. But we have to remember it's a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Right. That's why it's so important to talk about these things, to make sure we're developing and using AI ethically.
Absolutely. Transparency is crucial. We need to understand how these systems work, what data they're using,
Right.
and we need to make sure they're aligned with our values, that they're actually serving humanity.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we ensure that AI is developed and deployed ethically? It's a global technology, so it seems like it would require a global effort.
It does, and thankfully that's already starting to happen. Governments, research institutions, even tech companies are starting to work together to create ethical guidelines for AI development.
It's good to hear. So we're talking about some sort of international framework for responsible AI.
Exactly. And there are a lot of organizations working to raise public awareness about AI too, because ultimately it's going to affect all of us.
It's a good point. The more people understand about AI, the better equipped we'll be to make sure it's used for good.
Exactly. But the rapid pace of development does present a challenge.
How so?
Well, because it's moving so fast, it can be hard for regulations and ethical guidelines to keep up.
Oh, I see. Yeah, like we're always playing catch up.
Kinda. So we need to be proactive, not reactive. We need to anticipate potential issues and be ready to adapt.
So how do we do that? What steps can we take to stay ahead of the curve, so to speak?
Well, I think it starts with fostering a culture of responsibility within the AI community itself, encouraging researchers and developers to really think about the ethical implications of their work.
Okay.
And policymakers need to be involved too, of course.
Yeah.
We need a combination of top-down regulations and bottom-up awareness.
It's a team effort, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take all of us working together to make sure this technology is used to create a better future.
Thinking back to everything we've discussed today, the brain-computer interfaces, the climate models, even the autonomous weapons, is pretty mind-blowing how diverse the applications of AI are.
It is. And, we're still just getting started. It feels like every day there's some new breakthrough.
Yeah, it's moving so fast. It's both exciting and a little overwhelming, to be honest.
It really feels like we're at this turning point, Like we have this incredible power in our hands,
Yeah.
but we have to figure out how to use it wisely. It's a big responsibility.
I think that's a great way to sum it up, actually.
Hmm.
We've talked about all these amazing advancements, but at the end of the day, it comes down to us, right? AI is a tool, and it's up to us to decide how we use it.
Exactly. We're the ones shaping its development. It's not some predetermined fate.
Right. It's not like AI is going to take over the world and make all the decisions for us.
Haha. No, at least not yet.
Not yet. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's worth reflecting on everything we've discussed. I mean, we've covered some pretty mind-blowing stuff.
We have brain-computer interfaces, those climate models that can practically see into the future.
And then the whole issue of autonomous weapons, that one's a real ethical minefield.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's a conversation we need to have. We can't just shy away from these tough questions.
Absolutely. So, listener, as we're wrapping up here, we want to leave you with something to think about, something to chew on.
Okay.
As AI keeps evolving and it's happening so fast, how can we make sure it's used to benefit humanity? How can we safeguard against the potential risks? It's a challenge, but it's one we all need to be part of.
It is. And remember, the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're all creating together through our choices, through the conversations we have, the actions we take.
Well said. That's a perfect note to end on, I think. This has been an incredible journey, and we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you've learned something new, maybe even had your mind blown a little bit.
Yeah.
But most importantly, we hope this has sparked your curiosity and inspired you to think critically about the role of AI in our world. Because the future is coming, whether we're ready for it or not.
And it's up to us to make it a good one.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep imagining the possibilities. Thanks for listening.